Wonderful to have you all here. Thanks for joining our webinar about Hone's new membership product. As folks may be familiar, I noticed a few customers on the call, some familiar faces there and some new ones. Hone, as a company, has been around about 5 years. We're known for being the leading provider of live online skills training classes on power skills with a technology platform to help scale. But the big news recently for us is that we've launched a new version of our membership product, and that's what we're here to talk about today. We're going to get into all of that. I'm going to give a quick overview of Hone itself, and then we'll get into how membership works. And then Sheba, one of our top coaches that's been with us many years, is going to give you more detail on the learning experience and how that works. So thanks for being with us. I'm Tom Griffiths. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hone. We've been on this journey of trying to reimagine what corporate learning looks like for the past 5.5 years. Prior to that, I was a co-founder of a gaming platform called FanDuel, which grew from humble beginnings in the UK to a big well-known sports brand out here over the course of 10 years. Before that, I was in college for computer science and machine learning. So it's been quite a journey. Is one of our top coaches. We're thrilled to be joined by her today. Sheba, I'd love to pass it to you to give her a quick intro.
Thank you, Tom. It's a wonderful joy to be with you all today. I'm one of the principal coaches here at Hone. And apart from Hone, I also provide executive coaching, team trainings for startups and scale-ups that are happening out there in the world. So I'm really excited to be with you all today and speak about the learning journey here as well.
Thanks, Sheba. Appreciate you joining us. So to get us started and warmed up, we thought we'd kick off with a poll. If you could answer the poll with a question, what is the biggest challenge you're currently facing in developing programs for your learners? We spend hours every day meeting with learning leaders, hearing some of the challenges, and these were some of the things that came up. Not enough time to put content together, not enough budget, can't keep up with all the employee development needs, low learner engagement with programs because everyone's so busy, and then anything else that comes up. We'd love to know, what is the biggest challenge for folks, if you could just answer that poll. All right, biggest is low learner engagement with programs. Absolutely. We hear that a lot, particularly because folks are busy, but oftentimes when it's an e-learning solution that's asynchronous, the benefit of that in theory is people can do it whenever they want. The trouble is everyone's so busy they forget to do it, and engagement can be quite low. So that's a common one. A spread across the others, not enough budget. Certainly that is coming up in this environment. We hear that a lot from people. Time to put content together and can't keep up with employee needs. So a real spread across those top four, and then one other coming in as well. So lots of challenges as a learning leader right now. And I think what we noticed in my previous company when we were trying to upskill people across the company was, in particular, for the skills that really made the difference, we saw that those were leadership, management, inclusion, communication. They were the people skills or the power skills, or historically called the soft skills. And I feel like the challenges of teaching those across a wide range of populations are actually exacerbated from the list here, right? So it takes more time to put that kind of content together. It can be higher in terms of budget requirements. And there's lots of varied needs across the organization. And we really want to get people to engage and understand that it's important to invest in those people skills. It was really the origin story of Hone and why we created our platform to help deliver power skills to all. You don't have to take our word for it. Some research done just this year by McKinsey shows that companies that do invest in those power or people skills increase profitability by around 22% and decrease attrition, so decrease employee turnover by nearly 40%, because folks feel that they're being invested in. The World Economic Forum also just released its top skills for 2023. And if you look at the list, and we'll share this again later, 9 out of 10 are actually power skills. So yes, it's important to have technological literacy, but everything else, from thinking skills to motivation, self-awareness, leadership and social influence, are all these power skills as opposed to technical skills. And if you think about the age of the workplace that we're entering, with AI everywhere, transforming almost every job, then it's really important that humans can do what humans do best, which is the human skills or the power skills of leadership, management, communication, collaboration, storytelling, and so on. And so Hone is really here to help deliver those skills in an effective and scalable way. Over the years, that's what we've seen has been a challenge. When we were picking training partners at FanDuel, my previous company, what we found was we were faced with a choice. we could either have something that was scalable, so an e-learning library of pre-recorded videos that can reach everybody at a relatively cost-effective price. That's great. The content was great. But as we saw earlier, engagement can be a challenge. But the scalability was a good benefit to that. On the other hand, we had the option of creating quite highly curated, high production value live training, whether that was in person with travel involved or virtual cohort-based experiences, which are engaging and effective, but difficult to scale. And so what I felt was, why should we have to choose? Why can't we have engaging, effective power skills training experiences that are also scalable and can reach not just top executives or management layers, but in fact, everyone in the organization? So one way to think about this, independent of Hone, is just which modalities can have that effect. If you look at a 2x2 with scalability on the x-axis and effectiveness on the y-axis, we've got high scale, low engagement in the bottom right, high engagement but difficult to scale in the top left, and then the beauty, I think, of live virtual collaborative learning in the top right, where you get the best of both worlds. This existed prior to COVID, but now that everybody's comfortable and used to living and working on Zoom, we have unlocked this really powerful new modality of small group live virtual collaborative learning that we can use to achieve both scale and effectiveness. And so that's really what we built Hone around. Hone as a company, and we'll get into the membership product in a second, really was founded on this idea of power skills at scale. We wanted to train not just managers, directors, and VPs, which we do, but also frontline individual contributors and high potentials with these incredibly powerful, difference-making, career-changing, even life-changing skills. We wanted to do that in a science-backed way, in a collaborative learning environment that was actually engaging as opposed to more kind of a single-player mode, but then also make it easy to scale that, because there's a lot of logistics and administration and tracking and reminders and almost a full-time job or more in rolling out these kinds of programs. So we built technology to automate away all of that, as well as measure the impact. And we've deployed that with many companies over the years to great success. Our catalog at this point is, I'm proud to say, the world's largest when it comes to live online, short, high-impact classes for power skills. We've got over 100 different skills covered, from management to leadership to communication, teamwork, coaching, and so on. And we'll see more of that in a moment. We're also lucky to have an incredible international coaching community who deliver these classes day in, day out at an incredibly high level. They're all typically ex-executives and practitioners themselves. They're accredited coaches. They've got hundreds of hours of executive C-suite coaching experience, and they're just proud to work with Hone so that they can reach a broader audience and deliver our material in their own way. Sheba has been one of the longest serving partners on the coaching side, and I'm excited for you to see more from her in a moment. I mentioned our customers. We're so proud to have worked with over 300 customers at this point, really as their flagship training partner for things like core manager training, Manager 201, senior leadership training, IC or pre-manager programs, and diversity, equity, and inclusion training. We've actually just recently crossed the 30,000 learners mark, and you'll see on our website, we've now trained for over 100,000 hours these past few years. Just really proud of the scale that we've been able to deliver. And again, that's part of our vision to reach more and more people with these really incredible skills. The news, that's Hone overall. What we're here to talk about today is our membership product. Now, we've actually had a membership product since 2020, and typically how we would deploy that is alongside our traditional private programs, which are a cohort-based experience targeted at certain populations, and we would add in membership as a kind of extra continuous learning experience on the back end. What is membership? It's actually taking Hone's world's biggest catalog of live online classes, 100 plus, and then running that over and over again on a recurring schedule. If you just go back a slide for a second, so that we're running multiple classes a day, 50 to 100 classes a month, and learners can choose which classes they take and when. So that means that they can choose a personalized set of topics for their needs, and it means that they can choose a convenient time, which really helps with engagement. And so that was the experience for the last few years. But as we've been talking to our customers and prospects this year, we've been hearing a new set of requirements, which are largely in line with the poll question that we asked. We've been hearing that budgets are extra specially tight. We've been hearing that L&D teams are tight, as they've always been, in some cases shrinking, so they've got to do more with less. And there's no shortage of needs across their populations, maybe even more needs on the power and people skills, given the progress or the change in the workplace around distributed and remote work, hybrid work, return to office, challenges in the world, and the march of AI. There's just more needs that people have. And so as we reflected and as we looked at what our customers were buying, we saw that our membership product was actually the fastest growing product that we offer, because it conveniently wraps the ability to launch unlimited training, company-wide in many cases, for one single subscription price, where they get access to the entire catalog. So rather than having to buy an independent manager training program with one chunk of budget, then go and ask for another chunk of budget for DEI, you buy one subscription, and then you can run those programs in membership for no additional cost. And so what we realized was, for the times that we're living in, and actually for the scale and achievement of our mission, we want to really invest in the membership product. And so that culminated in the launch a couple of weeks ago. So the big difference for membership in 2023 versus 2020 is that you can create programs and see impact results in a way that you haven't been able to do previously. So what I mean by that is that a program is a collection of classes, sequence of classes that people go through. We've run that typically as a cohort experience in the past, but now in the new membership, you can assign people a set of classes. Say they become a manager, within 60 days, they have to take the 6 classes on the right-hand side. No longer are you deciding the times and the cohorts of people going through those. You're actually leaving that up to the learner. You're just saying, make sure you take these classes, again, all live by this deadline. And so it's a really fast way for learning leaders to launch programs. It's a really convenient way for learners to take programs. Almost like it was an e-learning experience where you created journeys in the past, but now for the first time, those bite-sized components of the journey are live classes that they can drop into. A bit like a Peloton style or ClassPass style workout experience. You're just dropping into the classes that work for you. What that looks like on the learner side is that they'll be assigned a class like Give Feedback that lands, and then they'll have a range of options of when they can take that you can see on the right-hand side. We're adding new classes every week. We're really scaling up the liquidity across different time zones, across different facilitators, so people, when they have those kinds of preferences, can find the class that works for them. On the next slide, this is another area where we've really invested from a membership perspective, where previously with our private programs, we've had a lot of rich analytics. We now have those same rich analytics for membership programs. So you can track the basics like what's the attendance and engagement rate, but also see what are the most popular classes, whether those are things that you have assigned centrally, that have been assigned by people's managers, or that learners have chosen to take in on their own. Because remember, this is an unlimited learning experience where once they have a seat, they can take as many classes as they want. That will typically start with the classes that they get assigned, but they're also going to take more classes than that for their own interest. And so on the right here, you can see things like super learners, who's taking the most classes, what departments are the most engaged, what other departments might we want to support more in taking classes. So a lot of rich analytics, again, like you might have on a LXP or an e-learning library, but for this live self-directed experience. And then finally, we've seen over the years, believe that the right way to execute this is not always as a standalone experience, but highly integrated into the existing HR or L&D stack. By that, Hone is able to pull in learner data or user data from the HRIS, so it's seamless and secure to get your learners into the platform. We're able to launch programs or enrollment from your LMS, So if you've established that as the centralized point of learning in the organization, that doesn't change. We just give you a whole new palette of classes and experiences that you can deliver to your learners through that portal. And then we pass back completion data so that you know in your system of record which classes or programs people have completed. Of course, we see some of our customers also taking that data and putting it in a BI tool, maybe correlating it with retention data or performance data, and we love that. So we power that through our API. So again, this is a world first, I believe, where we're taking what has previously been the luxury of an e-learning experience with all that tracking and integration, and for the first time doing it with live training. So you don't have to enter things by hand, it's all done automatically. So I'll just wrap up and hand over to Shiba in a moment, but I didn't want to lose this point that we really invested in this product so that you can stop worrying about incremental budget and just set up a single subscription at the start of the year where you're then able to create multiple programs, in fact, unlimited programs for all your different populations and all your different needs. Again, every single class is live. So that might start with a manager training program, 4 or 6 classes that get assigned to managers. That might then be automated. When a new manager joins or is promoted, they get assigned those classes. So it's on autopilot. You don't have to worry about it. It launches right away. But then, for no additional cost, you can create a director program. You can create your DEI program and assign it to everybody. Perhaps everyone within 30 days of joining needs to take a couple of DEI classes. We see some of our customers doing that. And then one of the other things we hear is just the sheer influx to learning leaders and HR departments or HR business partners on varied needs. And they want to be able to give people something to solve that need. Now you've got over 100 different classes, as well as unique one-off specialist masterclasses that we're running a dozen or so times a month, where you can say, hey, take this home class. It's a live, curated, interactive experience that doesn't cost anything else because they've already got that unlimited subscription. So really trying to meet the moment and the needs that we've heard from customers with this product. We're really excited about it and look forward to your questions and feedback as we continue to roll it out. With that, I will hand it over to Shiba for a deeper dive into what the actual learning experience looks like. Shiba.
Tom. Thank you, Tom. So within this live learning experience and with that subscription, you are looking not only over 100 classes that your learners can take, but you also have the master classes, and these are live deep dives on the hottest topics in the market from leading experts in the field. So topics like sample overcoming imposter syndrome. Are you leading a psychologically safe team? Maybe it's about growing your presence and owning your voice as an introvert, or priming your brain to solve hard problems. So these are just some of the topics within masterclasses. Along with that, we have the practice lab, which allows our learners to really practice what they've been learning in our live classes. And last but not least, we're also rolling out group coaching, where this is a powerful experience for individuals to receive coaching in a group setting. And these might be on topics that they would like to improve on, change, or maybe are being challenged by in their leadership. So the class learning journey, once you're registered, you are able to attend these live classes, any of these types of classes, whether it's group coaching, whether it's masterclass, whether it's a live training courses. And at the end of each, it's an opportunity for our learners to self-reflect and to create these commitments that allow for incremental change within their leadership as well. But it doesn't stop there. We have the platform, as Tom has mentioned, to support the learning with supplemental resources for continued as asynchronous learning. And I feel that that is such a valuable aspect of what Hone is also offering. But what I want to do right now is I want to pull apart what a live class might look like, what those high-touch learning engagements might look like within a class, because these are not webinars. It is live learning. All right, so what we like to do is as learners are coming into our classes, our coaches, our coach facilitators, amazing coach facilitators, we like to get learners talking with polls and chat questions. And this is often low risk, but it allows the learners to begin that engagement occurring right away at the beginning of class. And then we dig deeper. We want to dig deeper with insightful discussion questions so we as facilitators can understand what our learners are experiencing in their spheres and connect it to the content. So this question right here that you're seeing on the screen right now, what feelings come to mind when you think about performance reviews? This is from Hone's Prepare for Your Performance Review class. And when we're able to hear that, this helps us as facilitators to connect it to the content. And not only that, provide the frameworks that will be valuable in their growth as a leader. The class is structured with frameworks that will support the learning. And this one is specifically from our Coaching Towards a Goal class, where the framework supports our learners on how they can have coaching conversations with their leaders, direct reports, colleagues, etc. But although frameworks are great, it falls flat until learners have an opportunity to practice. And so there are two different ways often that we allow for that practice to come forth. We have our case studies. This one here is from our Build High Trust Relationships class. And these case studies will often resemble what our learners are experiencing or they've witnessed in their spheres of influence. And then, like I said, it's not just the case study that they get to practice, but it's also to personalize it to their own experiences. And so this is also from Build High Trust class, where we ask them to take an inventory of themselves. In fact, how are they doing when it comes to building high trust relationships within their teams? So learning in our classes is not simply from just these templates and these tools and these case studies, but it goes further. We often say our coach facilitators are amazing, but we also have a wealth of wisdom in our classes as well. And it is with the members into our classes. And so that opportunity to learn from one another occurs in our breakout rooms, where we're able to take it and personalize it, and they can have discussion within the breakout rooms. And over the years, what I've heard from many leaders is that when they're in these breakout rooms, this is the first opportunity for many of them to have conversations, to understand what others are going through, to know that they're not isolated in the challenges that they're experiencing, and also receive feedback and strategies on what they're going through as well. This is an opportunity to personalize the learning for themselves and have these smaller points of dialogue within a breakout rooms setting. So learners can continue this journey, this learning journey, with templates that not only help themselves, but it could also be duplicated so that they can utilize this for their teams. Again, this is from Build High Trust Relationship. And what I encourage leaders when I teach this course is to say, listen, this is a use manual that helps you to understand and share how you show up in the workplace, but take it further. How might you use this for your team and have different ones in your team create this as well, so that you can build strong relationships, because that's at the heart of effective and productive teams. Last but not least, learners can leverage the platform, right? So that they can not only utilize asynchronous learning, but also find other classes that would support learning for themselves, whether it's more classes, whether it's a group coaching session, whether it's a master class that they want to find more about. This platform is there to support them in their continued live learning journey here. In fact, I just did a class on running effective interviews. And when I was able to say, hey, what did you take away from the last class? What I heard was they were able to go on the platform and read an article on bias, which of course is valuable when we're conducting effective interviews. So these are just the little ways that we're allowing for live learning to really take form and root for our learners. So I'm hoping that you see a glimpse of what happens in our sessions. These are just some of the touch points that we like to encourage in our classes, so that it is not a webinar, but it's live learning that's occurring in a number of different ways and touch points for our learners.
Yeah, thanks, Shiba. And I think that it's a great showcase of the different elements of the live class, both how we design the class itself and the kinds of activities and supplemental materials that are available. We've been developing these classes for the last 5.5 years, and we've iterated them multiple times. We've run them thousands of times. And so we feel like that is a really robust live class experience. And then the innovation here with membership is just making those easier and more accessible, both for the learners so that they can take them when they want, and really for the learning leaders or administrators of those programs, so that you don't have to worry about grouping cohorts or scheduling or coordinating all of that. You can just assign classes and be done with it and see when people are taking those. So it's a form factor or the delivery approach of the kind of core unit of a class that we've really opened up here. So we wanted to leave a decent amount of time for questions because I recognize this is a novel concept in the market. We're excited to get it out there, but we're also learning as we go from the partners that we have using it and new folks that are interested in it. And so I'm just going to jump over to the Q&A section. Got a few questions coming in. First one was, can people update their setting to reflect their time zone when looking for a class? I'm not sure if this is a setting now or whether it's coming soon, but certainly that's on the roadmap if it isn't there already. Yeah, a really nice feature of live virtual learning is that you can deploy it in a similar way globally, and we have many customers that do that. Yes, they've got North American populations, but there's folks in EMEA, APAC. We have coaches that cover all those time zones, and we run classes on membership in all those time zones. So the classes are there. I'll need to go check on that feature, whether it's live yet or not. Next one, currently we have Manager 101 curriculum set for our learners and facilitators that builds on itself, private to the organization. Will this go away with the new model? No, we offer both and we'll continue to offer both. What we see is that oftentimes customers that can afford to will deploy both together. And so you will have a flagship Manager 101 cohort-based program up front, and then a membership experience as the follow-on so that people can then explore their own personalized learning journey. With the membership enhancements that we've brought recently, it's now a much closer together experience in that you can assign the classes to the populations and track their progress and impact in the way that you can with private programs. And yes, you trade off the customization, but you gain convenience and speed. And so it's really up to the individual company and case by case which solution you want to choose. And of course, they play really well together. It's a coherent learning experience for learners who experience both, and they're tracked and managed from the same interface as well. So yeah, we have both ongoing. There's a question, how do we manage to create depth in a 90-minute class? Perhaps, Shiva, I can pass that one to you.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because actually most of our classes are 60 minutes. And what I've seen with learners is that, first of all, they're coming from within their own work environment. They're already quite busy to begin with. And so this short amount of time is the capacity there to really be engaged and really learn the material in that short amount of time is valuable for them, because then not only that, they have the asynchronous learning that can support themselves, and also they can take another class to also support that topic as well. So they're not just limited to that time frame. But what we've seen over the years is that whatever is taught within that time is just right. And what we encourage learners to do is whatever the content is in the breakout rooms, there's never going to be enough time. That's okay. But take it from there and go out into your spheres of influence and practice what we've been talking about in the breakout rooms, in the classes. So it's just the right amount of time for them to just, in bite-sized pieces, to take it, practice it out there, to come back, take another class that supports the material that they've been talking about. And now that we're adding group coaching, it also brings a personalized approach to what they might be struggling with as well, that adds another layer of depth. So depth comes in a variety of forms, whether it's the practice lab, whether it's them going out and working on the commitment they've been talking about that they're wanting to practice, whether it's coming at it with the group coaching environment. So a number of different ways that they can bring depth to that topic.
Yeah, I'd second that. It was a best practice. It's hard to keep attention longer than 90 minutes virtually. And when folks compare us to 1 day or 2 day training offsite, and they consider the volume of material there, I'll actually argue, and research shows that it's better to space out that learning into those kind of 60 or 90-minute blocks, space it out a week or so, give people a chance to apply it, get challenges, come back together and talk about it in a follow-up class or a practice lab or a group coaching session. Where those practice labs really help is they're paired and designed to be paired with a core class. So you might take the coaching class for 90 minutes and then take a practice lab for 60 minutes a week later to really test and practice and refine your skills just in that space where there's no net new content. It's just an opportunity to practice. So we deliver 1 or 2 skills in that bite-sized experience and then provide follow-on experiences to practice and reflect. Next question, I love, how do you think about adding new classes to the product? We do that in a couple of different ways. We have an in-house instructional design team who over the years have built that big catalog of ours, focusing on our core content pillars around management, senior leadership, IC, DEI, and we'll continue to add to those, probably on the order of a class or 2 per month. We're running them then in rotation with the other 100 classes that are already in the catalog. And so you'll see a wide variety on offer, but we also run the core classes that we know that people tend to start with much more frequently than the other classes. So that's things like coaching, feedback, one-on-ones, delegation, basics of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that's always available. And then what we do on top of that, which is really exciting, and we'll share some information on this afterwards, is that we run masterclasses, probably about 8 a month at this point, where we invite a world-class expert or speaker or author to come in and run a class as a one-off. Sheba mentioned a few of those earlier. We've got tremendous things on elevating your sales ability or giving powerful presentations, storytelling with data, really amazing people coming and teaching those classes that change every month. And if we see that something's really popular, we'll bring it back by popular demand, but really trying to keep those fresh every month. So 6 to 8 new classes, 6 to 8 new master classes every month, and then 1 or 2 new core classes every month. How we choose those, we take feedback. When we see requests for classes, we'll feed that into our system. And then when there's enough demand for something, we'll build that out. So it really does come to you for what we should build. Question on costs. How much does membership cost? We've tried to be really thoughtful about this. As you as buyers will know, there's a range of different experiences in L&D, and they cost a range of different things per head. At the top, you'd have one-on-one coaching. Then below that, you'd have live training. And then way below that, you'll have e-learning in terms of a price per head. So coaching might be several thousand per head. Live training might be high hundreds per head. And then e-learning might be low hundreds per head. We've tried to price membership as a more affordable version of the live training, so less than the live training price point, comparable more so to an e-learning experience, again, so that we can roll it out to as many people as possible. We offer incentives to roll it out to the entire organization, just so that you can take a mindset of abundance rather than a scarcity mindset around limited seats. Because if once it's with the entire organization and you have unlimited access, you really can solve any need with that one subscription. For exact numbers, we're happy to have a conversation. It really depends on volume and how we're rolling it out, but that should give you a sense of where we're trying to sit in the market. All right, are the cohorts all within a single organization or are they built across multiple organizations? That depends. In the membership experience that we've been talking about, it's cross-company. And the nice thing about that is that it's on us to run the classes and do the scheduling. You don't have to worry about any of that. And then it's on the learner to pick the class. And then they get to join and learn from other people from other organizations how they're tackling similar topics. So it's great for their broadened perspective. It can actually create more psychological safety to be open in certain ways when you're not surrounded by your coworkers. We do, of course, have disclaimers about do not share anything confidential so that we manage that aspect of it. But you do really get that broader perspective. In our other product, the private program, cohort-based product, that can be constrained to the organization. And so we offer both approaches. In membership, you get the richness of learning from peers at other companies. Question, this is great. In the past, our team has run into challenges finding membership classes that work with their schedule. With this new rollout, will this mean more membership classes available? Absolutely. Yeah, we've really ramped the number of classes that we've been running. I think if you go back a year or so, we may be running 30 classes a month. We're now pushing towards 100 classes a month, around triple the number of classes. we're consciously trying to cover other time zones. And as we get more learners using membership, the beauty of that is that we can afford to offer more classes for them. And so as the user base grows, the availability and choices of classes grows as well. So we expect to continue to ramp that over the coming years. What was the base size of an organization that membership would benefit? Any organization can benefit. We tend to work with companies starting at around 100 employees. That's really where there's emergent power skills needs, management layer. Not everybody knows everybody anymore. We need to work on communication and collaboration. And so that's a sweet spot where we start working with people. So that's typically the floor. And then it scales all the way to organizations we work with of 200,000 employees, because it is a very scalable, switch it on, light up several thousand seats, and then it just works. There's a broad scale of who we work with there. 5 minutes for a few more questions. I love that there's all these coming in. Could you talk a bit to the difference between a class and its follow-up learning or practice lab? How interactive are the first classes? Shiba, one for you.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use an example. So one of our classes is around give feedback that lands. In the actual class, there is the opportunity for people to talk about feedback, but also learn a framework in how to give effective feedback. In the practice lab, this is where they will have more case studies and actually talk about how they can give effective feedback. So it's a lot more of practicing in the practice lab. There's no new content in the practice. It's really, as the name says, it's giving them opportunity to practice giving the feedback. So I hope that helps to distinguish. One, you will hear about frameworks and strategies, and the other is really practicing it. How interactive are the first classes? All the classes are interactive. This has been how we've set up all the classes so that there is a high level of interaction in all the classes.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Shiba. A couple of questions about ROI. How do we do that? That's been baked into our philosophy and our platform from the start. And so because we're technology powered in a way that other live training companies are not, we've built a lot of software around tracking commitments, nudging behaviors, and then measuring impact. So I just talked to a few of those things. Every class, at the end, we have folks go to the platform and enter a commitment for what they're going to do differently over the next 7 days as a result of that class. So every class is very actionable, teaches skills and behaviors. They then commit to what they're going to do, and we'll nudge them over time based on what they themselves said they were going to do. And in future classes, they have access to that. Coaches have access to that to remind them that they should be enacting those commitments. That's one way to do it. The other way we do it is that we've evolved a model based on the Kirkpatrick scale where we measure across the different levels from 1 through 4 and beyond. Of course, we track first level 1 smile sheet type data. After every class, it's a 1 to 5 scale. We also check that people feel like they have they're equipped to go and apply that after each class and have learned something new. So we get to level 2 at the class level. Then periodically, we'll run an assessment, both of the learner and the people that they work with. So it's like a 360 or a 180 if it's just the manager's team, to understand based on the behaviors or the skills or the capabilities from the classes that they've taken, have they felt that they've developed those skills and applied those skills. So there's part self-assessment. We talk about the impact of that in terms of whether they feel their performance has gone up, their likelihood to stay with the company has gone up, whether their engagement and happiness at work has gone up. We see scores in the 80s and 90% for all of those from the learners. But what's really interesting is to look at the data from people who work with the training participants. And there we also see really high observed changes for those capabilities, and also those kind of level 4 impacts around willingness to stay at a company or increased performance because of what their manager has gone through and the way that they've changed their behavior. So we offer a suite of different measurement approaches that taken together can build a really nice quantitative and qualitative picture of the impact that the training is having. And if we want to go even further than that, we have PhDs on staff that we can work with you, who can work with you to do even more sophisticated control group studies. We did one with Indeed, for example, that was published in Training Magazine, where we saw a 40% reduction in manager turnover in the hone trained group versus a control group because of the investment and engagement that they felt there. As you can tell, we geek out on this stuff. Would love to talk to you about ROI more deeply separately. One last question, then we're going to break. Are these classes only for managers versus people that might want to become a manager? These classes are for everybody. We have a great amount of depth in manager training itself, but we also have great depth in individual contributor, hypo, and pre-manager programs, and topics that should be for everyone, like DEI. So please don't think of us just as manager training. This is for all levels of the organization, from IC to VP. All right. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be sending more information about this in future webinars that we're running, and I look forward to being in touch. Thanks, everyone.